Okay, so I've already talked about shortcuts and input related things in the first starter guide, but I figured it'll be useful to make a separate video for it. We'll explore all the different tricks and shortcuts you can utilize to make combos and the execution related stuff in KoF XV easier for you, as quite a few people are struggling with things like combos and cancels. I've seen different people online trying out the game and the things they were struggling with, but for this video I'm mainly gonna use Lord Eris, as he's been recently streaming the game and trying out trials on different things. He's a nice example as someone who has a lot of fighting game experience but never played a KoF game, so his struggles should be similar to the issues newcomers are having. Okay, that was a long enough intro. First thing we'll talk about is the hold trick.
You hold the button. Oh yeah, I forgot about holding it. Yeah, I forgot about holding it. Thanks. That's a pretty big part of this game that doesn't exist in other games.
As foreign as the concept might seem, in KoF, when you hold the button while inputting specials or supers, the game basically stores the whole input and keeps repeating it for between 10 to 20 frames, which is a long duration. Doing specials the old school way with double tapping or just pressing the button works just fine. But if you use the hold trick, you can do your specials a bit earlier and hold the buttons, and it will guarantee that your move will come out on the first possible frame. This will make things like combos that are strict or need specific timings so much easier.
Yeah, I got it. That's so huge. Not holding the buttons is like a critical mistake in this game, and it's not something that you do in other games. When you hold the buttons down, the window gets bigger. That's a really big difference.
There's a few combos you basically have to use the hold trick if you don't want it to drop. It is so useful to get down. Most combos you can hold trick the whole combo. If the combo is all specials or all specials into supers, you can hold trick the entire combo. Basically you will do your close normal, command normal, and then hold the next move, and the next move, and the next move, and the next move. And it will make the whole thing much easier for you.
Hold, thanks.
And obviously this is very useful in scenarios outside of combos, like doing wake up moves. You'll do the move a bit earlier and you'll guarantee your character wakes up with the move you want. Reversals, punishes, especially punishes with very strict windows. So if you're struggling with cancels like after your super into a bigger super, as long as you have a ballpark of when the next move should happen, time your inputs a smidge earlier and hold the buttons, and your super should come out, as long as you did the correct input.
Oh, and hold the buttons. Don't forget to hold the buttons.
Second thing we'll go over is the long inputs in general. I've seen people saying that you need to break your thumbs to do these kind of moves. Yeah, they're the traditional long inputs, but in a lot of these cases, they're trying to do the moves way too fast when you don't really need to. You have more time to do the input than you might think. Try doing the input a bit slower and see. Unless you're going really slow, the super will still come out. Especially in cancels when you add the hold trick as well. Using the move's animation to your benefit, where the animation time is basically the time you have to do the input. But let's say you're still finding it difficult. Here's some shortcuts and alternate inputs that might help. First is the half circle motion. The game only looks for the back, down, and forward inputs, meaning you can skip one diagonal or both of them and it should still work. This is for specials and the supers that have the half circle. So for something like the dreaded double half circle back, do it a bit slower and don't focus on the diagonals. As long as you aren't too sloppy, you should still get the move. The other big example is the Rambo. Fireball forward, then half circle back. The quarter circle is strict. You can't skip anything here. But the half circle back, you can. Because you don't need the down forward, you can actually do this as fireball forward, then fireball back. This input also has a completely different way to do this. For the Rambo, you can actually do double quarter circle forward and then back with the button, and it'll still come out. This also applies for supers like KOs or Mai's that have a reverse Rambo input. Quarter circle back into half circle forward. You can do it as double quarter circle back and then forward with the button. This is basically your regular double fireball motion with an extra input at the end. This gives you different options to do your cancels if you don't want to do them the regular way. Next one is the Dragon Punch input. This one has 3 different ways you can do. The regular one, forward, down, down, forward. Half circle back into forward, or forward into half circle forward. Any of these three inputs will give you a Dragon Punch if you don't have another move that clashes with one of these inputs. Like Iori, for example, can't use the second one because that's the input of his command grab. Same thing with Yuri and the third one, as that's the input for her Fireball Super. If you're wondering why you'd use the alternate longer inputs instead of the traditional one, first reason is to avoid input overlap. If your character has a double Fireball Super and you want to make sure you get the DP instead of that, you do the alternate input. The other reason is to buffer something that will benefit from the different input, which leads us to the next thing, buffering. You're probably familiar with this if you played other fighting games like Street Fighter, but when you do a special, like say Benimaru's Raijinken, this is a quarter circle forward. If you're trying to cancel it into his double fireball motion, you don't need to do the whole super's input. The Raijinken is already a quarter circle, which is the first part of the super's input. When you input anything, the game keeps it in its buffer for a bit, meaning the game still has the input stored in case you want to do something after. So you can utilize this by combining the inputs you've already done to make the next part easier. So in this case, you've already done the quarter circle forward in the buffer. So if you want to do his double fireball motion super, you simply add a second fireball motion with the button and you'll get your super. You can use this in a lot of ways, combining all sorts of options to get your cancels easier. Okay, now let's go back to the alternate DP input, as this is the reason we talked about earlier. A combo you can do with Kyo or Terry is doing a Dragon Punch cancelled into their supers, which have a reverse Rambo input, quarter circle back into half circle forward. Now doing this with the regular DP input is a lot of swinging back and forth and it's pretty difficult. But here you can use the alternate DP input, half circle back forward, and you add buffering as well, and you make the whole thing easier. So when you do the DP as half circle back forward and punch, you basically add the quarter circle back needed for the super. So to get the super, you only need to add a fireball input at the end with the button. So the whole input is half circle back forward and punch, and then quarter circle forward with punch. I know I'm going into a lot of details, but the idea is that I'm teaching you how to fish instead of just giving you the fish. If you understand the idea, you can do this with your characters and the different commands they have, and you can make combos and cancels easier for yourself. Okay, for this one, I want you to see the combo Ares is trying. Close C, forward B into fireball. This is not a hard combo, yet Ares was here for basically an hour trying to figure out what was the problem. The issue that he was getting is a Dragon Punch coming out instead of the fireball.
Why is it doing that? What's going on here?
Because the forward in forward B is still in the buffer, so the game reads it as you trying to do a Dragon Punch.
Why the fuck are you doing that? Why is he doing that?
There's two ways to do this, and the third way, which requires extra precision that you can avoid. So what Ares is trying to do is basically doing the forward B, going back to neutral, and then input the fireball quickly, which makes it way harder than it should be.
So the gap has to be the first two hits are close together, then there's a gap, and then the second two hits are close together.
Here are two other ways to do this easier. First one is what the chat was saying. Dial in the close C and forward B early so you have time to do the fireball without the forward being registered. Basically giving it enough of a delay where the forward is no longer in the buffer. When your combo is a normal into a command normal, you can do it slow, where you're basically canceling the move into the next one. Or you can dial the whole thing early, where you basically input the command normal before the first attack even comes out. This can be useful in giving you more time to input the next move. But in this specific combo, it's unnecessary, because the fireball has travel time, and if you do the cancel late, it can make the combo drop. The other way, which is what you should do, is for the fireball input, you end it in up forward instead of forward. In situations like this combo where you have a forward command buffered in and you want to get the fireball motion, the game will override it and give you a DP every time if you end the motion with forward. But up forward guarantees that you get the fireball. This also applies if you do a run into a fireball. If during the run at any point you try to do a fireball and you end it with forward, you will get a DP, but ending in up forward will give you the fireball. If you're curious to why this is, the game basically lets you overshoot your motion by one command. So if you want to do a half circle forward and you do it like this, the game allows it and will give you the motion. So for the DP, the actual input is forward, down, down, forward. So ending it with forward is already overshooting the input by one command. But if you end it with up forward, that is 2 inputs away from the DP and it won't come out. This is you telling the game, I am going for the fireball, not the DP. I don't know if you needed to know these details, but hey, now you know. So going from that into run, combining most of what we talked about here, you can use the forward of the run to do different things easier, such as run up command throw. If you didn't know, running in KoF has a minimum distance, so even tapping forward will make your character run for a bit. This means that you can buffer moves here while also getting the forward distance from the run. Like take Iori's command throw. The input for it is half circle back into forward. Notice here there are 2 forwards in the command already. So if you want to get a run, you simply do the input quick enough and delay your button. And this will make Iori run for a bit and then still give you the command throw. In this case, it was basically built in. But even for specials that don't have 2 forwards, you can simply add a forward before or after the input and delay your button presses and it will still give you a run into the special. This is rarely used outside of run-up command throws, but it is very useful if your character has one. And a lot of characters have those in KoF. Alright, that was way longer than I thought it would be, but I figured having more detailed explanations might help people understand what's happening a bit more, and it warrants me redoing something I feel I've talked about multiple times already. But yeah, hopefully something here was useful in your execution struggles. I will cover a few other concepts in a similar manner, but I want to make sure this is what you guys want to see. So if there is a subject or an issue you're having trouble with, let me know here and hopefully we'll try to find a solution. Other than that, make sure you follow Avoiding the Puddle and show him love, and hopefully he'll explore KoF a bit more, even if it's just for the lovely ladies. The character guides are gonna start dropping soon. I know I've said that a lot. I'm just a slow/shitty editor and it's hard to find the time, so bear with me a bit and hopefully it'll be a quality over quantity kind of thing. I appreciate the support and love I've been getting, even though I haven't done a lot of contenting. But I've done a lot of the time-consuming stuff for the next few videos, so hopefully the flow will be a bit more consistent. Until then, stay safe and I'll see you guys soon. Peace!
I got it right. It's a timing thing. Just like everything else, it's a timing thing. Precision. Precision! Precision!